Avalor! Welcome back to another episode of The Magic Within, your podcast resource for all things Elena of Avalor. Keep listening to hear the latest Elena of Avalor reviews, theories, opinions, and so much more. We come to you tonight live from our Elena of Avalor Discord server, and have we got a great podcast today for you. We're going to be discussing the most recent episode, Finding Zuzo, digging into the legends and lore behind our favorite moth fairy, and taking a peek at some of the meaning behind the spirit guides, and of course speculating on the upcoming Navidad special, No Place Like Home. Joining me in our discussions tonight are our fantastic podcast princesses, the incredible Lady C.
Hi everyone, it's Chrissy from New Zealand.
The fabulous Lady J.
Hi, it's Jenny from Southern California.
The amazing Lady A.
Hi, it's Amelia from Southern Oregon.
And the gorgeous Lady G.
Hello, it's Georgia from Greece.
And last but not least, Lady B, that's me. I'm Becky, coming to you from Germany. All right, girls, so I'm super happy to have the squad back together tonight. I know you girls have been, really busy with life outside the fandom, school, kids, responsibilities, adulting in general, right?
You couldn't have said that better.
You had a short break from adulting last weekend, though, didn't you?
Yeah, actually, I took my girls to Disneyland Paris last week. It was a lot of fun.
No way! Oh my god, I've always wanted to go there. Is that the same as the ones in America?
Actually, in some ways, yeah. When you first walk into the park, you see Main Street USA, and it's almost exactly the same as both in California and Florida. And right now, it's decorated for Christmas. So pretty. In other ways, it's pretty different. But some of the rides have the same names, and they look the same as I remember them, but they're pretty different on the inside. That was a big difference. Like Indiana Jones, I remember it being a wild Jeep ride through a temple in California and Florida.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, I convinced my girls to go on it with me because they're 7, and so they're kind of on the edge of being brave with these big rides. And I was like, dude, it's just a crazy Jeep ride. It's going to be fun. And then we got in line and found out they weren't tall enough to ride, which I thought was really weird because last September they rode it with me in California. Apparently in Europe, it's a full-blown roller coaster with at least one upside-down loop. What was even worse was Space Mountain. Now, someone tell me if I'm crazy. I swear I've been on this roller coaster in the States so many times over the years, but it was just a fast roller coaster in the dark, like up and down, maybe a few circles, flashing lights. Does it go upside down, like, at all?
I'm thinking no, or maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, I'm pretty sure that it doesn't, but I swore to my kids that it was not an upside-down roller coaster, and I even bribed them to go on it with me with one of those giant Mickey Mouse lollipops from the gift shop. And yeah, they got on it, and I should have known when they put the shoulder harness over us and not a lap bar. But yeah, there was a loop-de-loop, a barrel roll, and a corkscrew in the dark, like immediately. So between...
Oh, poor girls.
I know, they were traumatized. So
at least they got the lollipops.
They did get the lollipops. Those lasted them like 3 days. But between Indiana Jones and Space Mountain, my kids' faith in my truth-telling is a little shaken because I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, at least you can always bribe them with food.
That is true. I wasn't sure it was going to work, but it did, so now I know their weakness.
That's every child's weakness.
Yes. This is true. Anyway, moving on from my crazy trip to Disney Paris, let's take a few minutes to talk about Elena's trip to the spirit world in her most recent adventures, Finding Zuzo. But before we dive into our discussion, our amazing podcast princess Amelia is going to give us a quick rundown of the events of this fun and hilarious episode. Amelia?
All right. When the episode starts off, it starts off with Elena, and she's admiring the lighthouse her father built. But she quickly gets into a bit of a fight with Naomi after she says the lighthouse needs to be torn down due to its impracticability. Elena then storms off and goes to ask Zuzo for help, but she soon discovers that he's missing. And so after getting some help from Mateo and his spirit guide, Kakawate, she goes to the spirit world to find him. But once they realize Zuzo was kidnapped by Orizaba, they realize they need help from Bobo, king of the Zanies, in order to save Zuzo. So, after lots of bickering between Kakawate and Bobo, plus the realization of importance and teamwork, they manage to save the day, and then friendships are made and saved all around. So, yeah, It was a really great episode.
It really was.
Wonderful. Thanks, Amelia. So we're going to try something a little different today and focus on the highlights instead of a specific play-by-play rundown. So let's start with Elena's fight with Naomi.
Girl, she wasn't having any of that. We get to see Elena having the old hair flipperoo on Naomi when they weren't agreeing.
And that hair flip.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how we don't usually see Elena fly off the handle. She's usually pretty even-tempered, I guess, when she's not blinded by vengeance. So
She has learned that lesson.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that she got so emotional about this lighthouse, which I think is probably valid considering everything she's been through lately. What do you girls
Of
think?
course.
I suppose
Yeah,
it's
well,
probably
it's
one of
like-
the last things she has with her father.
Exactly.
It's really hard to let go of things that you have such fond memories with, you know?
And then I thought her interactions with pretty much everyone directly after that fight were really, really interesting. First, she runs into Gabe.
Ah, Mr. Nunez himself.
I thought that was kind of funny, although I felt really bad for Gabe because he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was interesting to see how she just she was still channeling that anger, although she wasn't really feeling anger to him. She was still just taking it out on him and whoever else probably happened to get in her path. So we never really seen this side of Elena before. So it's kind of interesting to see how she deals with this type of like emotional trauma, I guess.
To quote Gabe, hey, what did I do?
Exactly.
Although I thought it was a really good initiative of captain of the guards to want to go after Victor and Carla. You know, I thought that very good initiative, you know.
Absolutely. And I think that was probably a little bit of foreshadowing of things to come. That's probably going to be
Dun, dun, dun.
right, the next story arc. But I also thought it was great how Elena was, like, she recognized she was kind of being a jerk and admitted it.
I'm going to slam the door, but it's not because of you.
That was adorable.
And hilarious.
Yes, it was hilarious. She even yelled at Zuzo, which I've never seen her do before. Poor Zuzo.
Poor Zuzo.
I know.
And just before he gets kidnapped, too. I bet she felt bad.
Oh.
Probably.
So, as soon as Elena slams the door on poor Gabe, snaps at poor Zuzo, we see she's concerned about Zuzo because he kind of disappears, right? So, she's been so worried and upset. And we see her go and talk to Mateo. And it's clear that the scene opens with her. It looks like she's mid-conversation. So we don't know what she said before then. Like, she doesn't just walk in the room. She's mid-pacing. And she's much calmer. I thought that was kind of interesting.
It is. He always brings some tranquility and calmness to her.
And then, of course, Mateo's casting the spell to find Kakawate, and Kakawate's taking his sweet old time. And then you see Mateo going, hello, Manara. And then Kakawate, I'm coming.
Like, hold your horses.
Hold your spirit horses. But yeah, Mateo is just so like level-headed and he has a solution, and she like so open to like her coming and confiding all of her worries and concerns. It's just, it's a great thing we've seen over and over again throughout the series, and it's just nice to see that reconfirmed in this scene.
Oh, definitely. And I actually might be talking about that a little bit later, but I digress. Go back to what we were talking about.
So, as Christy said, Mateo summons Cacahuate because they're trying to find out about Zuzo. They figure out that Zuzo is probably in trouble because someone was in his house, and Cacahuate takes Elena to the spirit world where they find evidence that points to someone with moths kidnapping Zuzo. I don't know who that could possibly be.
Oh no.
Lady
Well-
O's back.
Well, the moth fairy herself. He's the one who kidnapped Zuzo, apparently, so that he can take his magic spirit guide stripes and finally be able to go out of the spirit world and bring eternal darkness, probably. I also loved how when she appeared, you had this small musical cue that went da-na-na-na-da-da-da-na from the Gift of Night. It was such a great touch. It was nice to have her back. But poor Zuzo, well, we can't say the same for him. He was hanging upside down.
Right. Tied up in moth silk? Ew. I thought it was interesting that she picked Zuzo out of all the spirit guides she could have captured. I don't know if she meant to do this or if she wanted his spirit stripe specifically because that would give her a link to Elena.
I
Oh,
don't know.
that's an interesting thought.
Well, you know, like, because a spirit guide always knows where their human is. And I don't know if the stripes have to do with that, if that's part of the magic.
Oh, well, she did mention she holds a grudge towards Elena, so it's very possible she was going to find her afterwards.
Interesting though, the visuals on Orizaba was the huge holes in her wings.
Yes.
Yeah, continuity!
Right? Well, she was
Leaving her
definitely pretty ticked
incapable
about
of-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised that those were still there because I thought they might have healed themselves, but ouch. So we see this scene of Orizaba with Zuzo tied up over this pit of, I don't know, a giant swirly toilet thing. I don't know. Spiritness.
Spirit toilet.
It's all swirly. Anyway, that's what it made me think of, especially when she fell down it. Anyway, sorry. So we see Zuzo hanging over this, and once Elena figures out that it's Orizaba who has Zuzo, her and Cacahuate take a moment to chat, and Elena has to convince Cacahuate that Bobo is the perfect choice of someone to help them get Zuzo back. And Cacahuate is a little reluctant for some strange reason.
A little bitter.
Yes. So
Honestly, though, I don't blame him because, like, Bobo did steal his stripes and cause all that mayhem and all that stuff in the first place. And so, like, I think he has a bit of a right to be bitter, honestly.
Not to mention he's totally like a train wreck.
it really is.
Put the pie in for double the heat. It'll cook in double the time, in half the time.
My kids still say shinier is finier when they sweep the floor.
That's so cute.
Mom, shinier is finier. Yes, girls. Yes, it is.
As long as
Why
no one
would you put your head in there in the first place?
So, and I definitely agree with you, Amelia. I think that Cacahuate is completely valid in his frustrations with Bobo. And I thought that Bobo's problem with Cacahuate was a little, well, in Bobo fashion, kind of silly. Like, he was just annoyed that Cacahuate didn't respect his kingliness. Like, okay.
With a banana crown, it's kind of hard to respect the king like that, but, you know.
And considering who his subjects are, the zanies.
Yeah.
Steve.
Right. Oh gosh. But can we just talk about the song for a minute? Top Banana King. Wasn't that a great
Top
song?
Banana King.
It was so catchy!
It was very catchy. I swear I could have danced to it all day long.
Same.
Now, Jetty, you know I'm awful with these song genres. But is this a merengue?
Yeah, it's a merengue. It's got that merengue beat.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It makes me want to
That
dance.
beat, you can shake it too.
Yes. For
Except I'm
reals.
not. You can.
Well, we saw everyone in the song shaking it except for Cacahuate, so.
You know, I absolutely loved how Elena had to sing her questions or
Yes.
It's like, seriously, everything about this episode was totally like living with children.
You have to sing it or he won't listen to a word you have to say.
Clean up your toys.
No, seriously, I'm not kidding. After we watched the episode, my daughter totally told me, you have to sing it to me. And I basically said, no, you're going to clean up your toys.
That is awesome.
It is.
Put it in song. Okay. So
It's so catchy. Like, you mention something and you want to sing it afterwards. It's
do.
insane.
And
Why is it so good?
It is. And it also gave us a really like interesting picture of Bobo's life with the Zanies. I thought it was so cool how happy they were together. Like, it was this really mutually beneficial relationship. I thought it was really interesting how happy the Zanies were with him as their king. Like, you know, Bobo's kind of crazy and irresponsible and not exactly fair in his decrees. Like, he doesn't listen to you if you don't sing. He won't listen to you if you don't call him the most exalted, high superior top banana king?
Exactly. Birds of a feather flock together. The Zanies are, well, zany.
This is true, actually. So we finally get Bobo to agree. And so we have Cacahuate's very valid problem with Bobo, the grudge that he holds from over a year and a half ago. And Bobo's problem with Cacahuate, which is questionable. And it causes a bit of a divide. And Elena, at some point after all of this bickering and fighting, she just loses it with them.
Honestly, Becky, we should just nickname this scene like the "Don't make me turn this car around" scene.
Yes! We absolutely should. You're right. I related to this so well, and Mommy Lena came out again. This is like one of my favorite sides of her. I mean, we've seen it mostly in Island of Youth, where she was just like, you know,
A total mom.
Total mom, so frustrated. And then we saw it, what was it? Just the last episode where she was mothering her abuelo, but now we see
The dark side of motherhood. No.
Yes. And it is
Well,
so
it's
relevant.
I'm just kidding. But yes, I totally could relate to poor Elena and her car ride with Bobo and Cacahuate.
I mean, even down to Cacahuate's line, "He touched me." My kids do that all the time. "I'm not touching you, Mom."
I loved how realistic this scene was. Seriously.
Yes. It was perfect.
I think I pointed at the screen and like looked at my kids and said, "Look, this is you. Look at this." Oh, I
They
love
will
it.
take that as a compliment.
Yes.
But in true Elena fashion, she pushes forward, and I thought it was actually really cool that this time Elena got herself caught, which that doesn't surprise me, but Cacahuate and Bobo figure out how to work together without a particularly like inspiring speech from Elena. Like she gave one at the beginning, but it took them a while to figure it out together.
That's actually good. Their character development makes sense this way because they are the ones to work through it. I mean, Elena is inspiring, but it's nice to see the characters do things on their own.
Yeah, needing
Their
to
personal growth.
fix it so they can help out their friends.
Yeah, because they were supposed to make Elena realize that she has to use teamwork to achieve her goals and make up with Naomi.
Absolutely. I thought that was great that Bobo and Cacahuate learned how to work as a team, how to put their differences aside and kind of see, not only work as a team, but they learned how to see each other's perspective.
Which is exactly what happened at the end with Naomi and Elena. You know, they worked out what was their problem, but the lighthouse and managed to come to a both party agreement.
That worked for both of them. That brings us to the moral of the story, which is don't get stuck.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, and don't get so blinded by your own point of view that you can't.
Personal agenda.
Exactly, personal agenda. That is a good way to put it. All right, let's move on to our favorite parts. Lady C, what was your favorite part?
Honey, it's gotta have to be the Top Banana King. That song was amazing.
Lady J, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part has to be the arguing back and forth between Cacahuate and Z and Elena have to mediate both of them.
Lady A.
I'd have to say my favorite part is actually probably when Elena was kind of blowing up at both Naomi and Gabe, because I just thought it was funny with like the whole hair flip and everything. And also we never really see that side of Elena. So I thought it was interesting and also amusing. So
Lady G.
Well, since you all mentioned my favorite parts, I think I've said that a million times, but I love the music in this episode. I love the Top Banana King. I loved that music, the music that was playing while Orizaba was chasing around Bobo. I loved the music when Orizaba appeared. It was so good. And also the comedy in this episode was like, whoa.
Yes.
mhm.
What about you, Becky? What was your favorite part?
I have to say, aside from, I really liked watching the different sides of Elena as she interacted with each of her friends when she was angry. My favorite part has to be the song. Top Banana King was just so upbeat and fun. I'm not gonna lie, I woke up several times this week with my brain, it's like 2:00 in the morning and it's dancing the merengue. So it's just, and then just the whole put it in song, or he won't listen to a word you have to say. Awesome.
Sing it, Becky.
Right.
Do I smell a karaoke night coming?
We need that. Becky, take the mic.
Right.
We're going to invite the crew.
Come join us. We have cookies. Anyways, moving on. So this episode was great. I think we all agree that it was a lot of fun. It was lighthearted. It had an excellent moral, and, it was something to learn for kids of all ages. Like, I know my little kids, they at least saw what they look like when they're fighting in the back of the car. I don't know if they applied it, but, It was a strong episode. And we know that Elena of Avalor has many strengths and great storytelling, complex, amazing character development among those strengths. One such strength that we all think deserves special attention is the overall art and design choices in the show. So 2 of our resident fan artists, Georgia and Jenny, have put their heads together to highlight just a few of the many amazing and thoughtful details for us today. Ladies, take it away.
So Jenny and I were thinking about how many emotions this episode had for both the comedy and emotional parts, with Elena going in between, being exasperated, and this episode was full of great expressions, with Elena going exasperated with Bobo's and Cacahuata's antics, and that relates to how intense Elena's emotions are in general, and that is actually reflected through her color palette, with red being her most prominent color. You see, red is a color that is linked with intense emotions, and it represents Elena's bravery and power, both emotional and political power, her determination to help her kingdom and family, as well as her love and passion for these two, her enthusiasm to leap into action, her impulsiveness, which is like her most prominent negative trait, if you can call it negative, and even her aggression towards Riki. It is also a color that indicates her royal status, which is why Elena's formal gown is mostly red. And it can also be associated with her fire powers, such as, the blaze power of her scepter. That is balanced by the pink of her main dress. It represents Elena's sweet, playful, and cheerful personality. It shows that she is young despite her heavy burden as a queen. And it also provides her with femininity and charm. Then there's the base of her underdress and adventure outfit that has the purity of white, but it's a warmer color. So it represents Elena's flexibility, her ability to work things out in difficult situations, which is what a good leader needs, and shows her dependable character, as well as the comfort and reassurance she provides to those around her. Despite her royal status and expensive accessories, the brown undertones of her main outfit and second adventure outfit show that she's down to earth and give her a more natural feeling. It shows that she's a teenage girl at heart. It also represents warmth and friendliness. Then there's the gold of her accessories, both in her main outfit and royal attire. That is a representation not only of her royalty and wealth, but also the magic she has inside her. The golden color means illumination. Both her light-related powers and her regal posture are related to that. And then she has a little bit of blue on her bracelet and her adventure outfit, which shows loyalty, trust, and intelligence, which I think are qualities that describe her well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's really amazing how much we can get from the colors and we can actually apply them to the characters.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I wonder, I really do wonder if they really did think of all this stuff when they were designing the characters. I totally think that.
I'm sure they did, and I think there are many things that we have even missed. There's probably so much thought into it.
Yeah, definitely. One thing, I mean, just hearing all that, especially with the red and impulsive to brave and passionate. We saw today that there was quite a lot of passion, especially with things that irritate her and make her upset. One thing I was reading about that was kind of interesting was the color green. So the color green actually, I read about when a red element becomes too agitated or out of control, green tends to bring a sense of calm, peace, and a feeling of happiness, which I kind of thought was interesting when we apply it to when she goes and vents to Mateo, and he brings that calmness. So, did you notice that?
Yeah, it's a great thought that I didn't think about actually, but yeah, it has happened in many situations when Elena is in a difficult situation and Mateo is there to calm her.
Yes, he is a very calming presence. So,
he's cute.
On the subject of green, that brings us to our next character. So he's actually gone through a variety of outfits through the episode, much like Elena. And I wanted to focus mostly on 3 because they all kind of had very similar traits in describing him. So one of the things I noticed was in the beginning of season 1, we meet him in his green vest, and he's actually wearing a green robe. Keep in mind, this is just after Shuriki's been defeated, and Mateo is just beginning his journey of becoming a royal wizard. One thing I read about with green is, it shows lack of experience and need for growth. That's something that often they describe with green. It also symbolizes youth and renewal of oneself. So, when you really think of it like that and apply it to episode 1 of Elena of Avalor, especially his hope for, a new future, renewal in the sense he doesn't have to hide and being a wizard anymore.
It really does.
Yeah. Next, I kind of was researching the adventure outfit introduced in Island of Youth. So Olive is actually side element of green, I guess. So a lot of those same things apply. But Olive is also associated with peace, with growth, like the process of growth, and adventure, which is fitting because that's his adventure outfit. Both outfits actually have an accent of red in the sash or the tie, which, brings us to those other parts of him, the determination, passion, that brings us to his royal wizard robe, which is red with gold accents. So red, like you mentioned before, it shows determination, passion, both of those things he applies to his, magic. It shows courage, which we see in basically every episode where he's had to step it up. You just see that anxiety that lingers at the back of his mind, but steps forward and does it, and shows his side of courage. It also shows his impulsiveness, which it's so funny, but he's really quick to jump on board with Elena's impulsive decisions. So in that sense, he really is a lot like Elena. Okay, so and then he also has the gold accent, which you mentioned before, that the gold actually is pretty, I'm really reading into this, by the way. But it shows different parts of him. So there's lingering things like courage and passion that we saw in the reds, but it also applies with that sense of royalty, which in this case, he is a royal wizard, so the gold is fitting. Gold also stands for magic and wisdom, which are 2 things that Mateo is growing towards. Gold is also defined by illumination, in this sense, leads the path to the person's goal. So, the fact that illumination in gold and then also the magic and wisdom representing gold, I think that's pretty interesting to apply that to Mateo's character as well.
It is. He has been through so much growth.
He really has. I think out of most of the characters on the show, he had the most character development and growth from episode 1, in my opinion, anyways.
That's valid.
I would digress with Esteban, to be honest, but I agree.
And then the gold also symbolizes compassion. So we see Mateo quite a lot of compassion, especially in this, just to bring an example, with the Serenas, when they discuss whether or not the Serenas are good or not, you see that look of compassion on his face. And also in El Guapo, when Gabe kind of shortchanges Rico, you see that look on his face there as well. So you can see he's a compassionate guy, and he's really empathetic, feels for other people. Yeah, so that's pretty much all this stuff I got. I have a lot to say about it, just because I just found so much stuff that does apply to his, path that he's on right now.
That's very interesting. You can really find so much about Elena's friends as based on their color palette, and that's also the case with Naomi. Her main color, I'd say, is the blue of her vest, probably, which is a color associated with sea. And just like how Elena's red is connected to her royal background, blue is connected to connected to Naomi's background. However, blue, it's also the color of intelligence and intuition, which are the qualities that Elena chose Naomi for her council. She's known for her out-of-the-box thinking, and blue is also a color of loyalty, trust, and sincerity. Naomi is known to be the honest type, after all, but she's also a great friend to Elena. She's also a free spirit and goes with the flow. That's where the out-of-the-box thinking comes into play. She comes up with good ideas in difficult situations. However, she can also be stubborn, especially when she has a very specific view of something. But she's also sensitive. She can get hurt by bad remarks. And it's also a color that signifies importance, which is accurate as she has a very important role in Elena's Grand Council. Then comes the green of her outfit. As Jenny mentioned before, it's a color of growth because Naomi went from a simple harbor girl to councilwoman. It's also a color of energy and is closely related to Naomi's ambition to become someone special. And green is also one of the colors that's associated with the sea. So then we have the turquoise of her skirt, which is a color associated with creativity and energy. It's also related to patience and calmness. And Naomi is totally the most chill out of Elena's friends.
Yeah.
And from what I've read, turquoise jewelry, like the ones she has, are related to prosperity and wisdom. And as the series goes, Naomi gets more and more experience. Then we have the blacks and browns. Black is related to authority, and brown signifies how she is natural and down to earth, reliable and honest. But last but not least, we have seen that in her royal outfits, or her more formal outfits actually, she has pinks and purples, which, so Naomi's more feminine, girly side. She's not a one-dimensional character that's mostly tough and snarky. You see that she has a need to be graceful and accepted into high society, and that charm and elegance she has inside of her is shown further through her, through these outfits.
Yeah. One of the things I actually kind of noticed, Gabe is actually the only one that doesn't have that element green. Whether or not that was on purpose or not, I have no idea. But it's fitting for him though, because, we talked about the green and how it's, symbolizes growth and inexperience. And Gabe is the oldest Team Avalor there. So he's a little bit more experienced and he is a little bit more ahead of the game than the rest of them. And it seems like he's done a lot of growing off screen as well as on screen, but not in the same way as his friends have, like almost in that level of maturity that they need to get to. So going back, we see a lot of the repeating, pretty much Gabe's seen in only his royal guard, captain of the guard costume. So the blue is something that associated with loyalty, stability, confidence, sensitivity. So loyalty and stability, that was proven right from the get-go. Like if you think of Prince Too Charming, when Elena asked him, "Are you with me?" He was straightforward. "I'm always with you." And that just shows how his loyal personality, and he's just that stable presence, just like the rest of her friends, And it's a very important and charming quality in Gabe. I don't think I've ever seen an episode where he wasn't confident. Have you guys?
That smirk of his.
Maybe a little in El Guapo at the beginning?
No, that was his lack of confidence because he didn't want to be considered a baker boy.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. That's why he picked up the sword.
Yeah. He is kind of a sensitive boy when you think about it. He's like our gentle giant of the group, honestly.
We love that about him.
It is.
In Captain Turner Returns, he is shedding tears over news. He's pretty sensitive. When Mateo looks over him, "Are you crying?" So another thing with blue, too much blue can be associated with self-centeredness and self-righteousness, which, funnily enough, we've seen that in Gabe as well in the earlier episodes. And then he has the red elements, and then we have that repeating color element, strength and captain, and he's shown he is a great leader. So you can see like all these colors really do help and give us a better picture about Gabe. Except the self-centeredness, I don't think we see that as much now.
Speaking of self-centeredness, I'm pretty sure we know someone that is like that. that?
Oh, I can think of someone.
Yeah, it's Esteban.
Good old
Well, he
Esteban.
does have his little share of blue too, though his most defining color is the darker red of his coat. That's because Esteban shares Elena's passion to help his kingdom and to protect his family, but he's less courageous than her. He does share his impulsiveness, though, if you remember the parts with him rushing to defeat the Duendes and not listening to Naomi and all that stuff. Also, what I find really interesting is how dark red is usually associated with evil and aggression. Many of the Disney villains wear it. Esteban is presented as an antagonist initially, but this is not the case with him. It's a clever twist. They present him like an antagonist, but in reality, he's a much more complex character, and that is balanced by the rest of the colors he has. The dark red also indicates royalty because he's part of the royal family and his high position, but it's also the darkness of it indicates that it's more sophisticated and serious, less energetic than red, and that makes sense because he's older.
Yeah.
Then you've got the gold of his that adorns his outfit that adds elegance and charm, also an indication of royalty. Then there's the beige, which is related to his softer side, the warmth and love for his family, and it also signifies how he's dependable despite his past mistakes. Sure, he's morally conflicted at first. He's also a bit conservative on a few aspects. He doesn't like change that much, but he's willing to accept other opinions, at least now, so that far into the series. He's got a lot of black into his outfit, which you normally think is associated with evil, as I said before, but actually it's an indication of his political power and authority, as well as his formality and elegance. Black is also a color that is strongly related with rebellion, which makes sense if you remember his stance against Shuriki in Secret of Avalor. It's also related to death. Yeah, that got a little macabre, but it's related to his deal with Shuriki that led to his aunt's and uncle's demise. Then we have the yellow of his neckerchief and the little tails of his sash. Well, yellow is a color of freshness and happiness, which may sound strange, but it actually makes sense if you remember that it's all a new beginning for him with his loved ones. It's also related to intellect and loyalty, remembrance and clarity, which also is related to his family's return. And what most people will probably make sense of is that it's a color that is associated with cowardice and deceit, which makes sense because he hasn't come clean to his family. He gets so stressed when he's like,
Still
oh,
waiting
they're
for
gonna
that,
find
by the
out.
way.
Yeah.
And then we got the blue, which, as Jenny said before, it's related to self-centeredness, but it's not too much. It's also a color of freedom, since he no longer serves under Shuriki, but he's not completely free from his past because he's lying. It's also a color of faith and intelligence because, well, he's part of the Grand Council and Elena really needs his advice. What I found really interesting is how he's got the colors of the Avaloran flag, red, blue, and yellow, which symbolizes his loyalty to the kingdom and his role as chancellor.
Well, he is an asset to Avalor, and especially with recent episodes, I feel like he's just grown so much as a character that he's definitely an asset to.
Hasn't he?
He's had a lot of growth, and he really is one of the more complex characters in the cast. And I think you've pointed that out, like you've illustrated that really nicely here.
Yeah, actually, the crew has illustrated it great.
Yes.
They have put so much thought into the character designs, the color palettes, and there's so much we can talk about on this podcast.
This is true. But...
Yay! As the Chancellor would say.
Exactly. I have to say, it seems clear to me that even these small design choices and color choices were made with a purpose. And it's really impressive when you just take a moment to look closely and notice just how each of those little choices were made to create these rich and colorful, complex characters that we know and love. Speaking of characters that we know and love, another area where the creative team seems to have paid close attention to detail more recently is in the choice of spirit guides for Elena and Mateo.
Oh, so like before you get into all like the analysis and stuff, I just want to say I was really surprised that Mateo's spirit guide is actually a sloth and not something like an owl or a fox even, because I thought like an owl would be for wisdom or a fox for clever thinking, but then it turned out to be a sloth and I was like, does this mean he's lazy or something? Like I was so confused.
That's exactly what I thought. The very first time I saw Spirit Monkey Business last year, when I saw the promo screenshot that had Cacahuate, I was so confused because Mateo is not lazy. But as I thought about it more, I thought surely it wasn't just for comedic effect. And once I looked up the symbolism behind the sloth, I found out some really interesting things. And while I was at it, I went ahead and looked up the fox too. It turns out that these spirit animals are perfect choices for Elena and Mateo. So let's start with Mateo, since Cacahuate featured heavily in this episode. As he stated when he first was summoned, that as a sloth, he is known for his thoroughness. Sloth spirits are relaxed, laid back, calm. People with sloth spirits enjoy helping others. They have a desire to be useful, and they tend to be quiet, introverted, and thoughtful, always thinking up new ideas and projects, and they make loyal friends and are selfless.
How perfect is that for Mateo?
Isn't
I know,
it?
it fits him so well.
I'm actually kind of thinking with the laid back part. I remember seeing a repeated scene in all the books being on the couch. The laid back part, I totally see.
It is very, very appropriate for Mateo. And I'd say he's the most calm, laid-back friend. And then we have Elena with Zuzo the fox. Fox spirits are highly intelligent. They have an aptitude for problem solving. They respond to things quickly and smoothly, and they're highly adaptable. They tend to have lightning quick reflexes when it comes to critical thinking. And they tend to have a natural sense of humor that they often find difficult to keep contained and can sometimes be a little inappropriate. Sound familiar?
Well, it does remind us of a certain princess that jumps into danger and
makes puns like crazy.
I
yeah.
love it.
So while I was at it, I took a look at just some of the other spirit animal options, and I thought it would be really interesting just to make some speculations on what some of the other characters were. And you guys can let me know if you agree or disagree or whatever you think. So first I started with Gabe, and I saw Gabe as a bear. Bears represent strength, leadership. They're the ultimate protectors of all spirit animals. They're very brave and can be a little playful.
Oh,
That is so perfect. I love it.
he must give the best bear hugs, that's for sure.
Aw.
For Naomi, I picked the beaver because beavers tend to have a great work ethic. They're very productive, highly organized. They are very goal-oriented, and they work extremely hard to achieve their big dreams.
Sounds like her.
Oh, yeah, becoming someone special. It's really Naomi.
Hey, so I'm curious who you picked for Isabel.
Oh, yeah. So for Isabel, I kind of went back and forth between a few, but I finally settled on the owl because so the owl pays close attention to detail. They're very observant, have very strong intuition, and they have quick minds with high standards. And what is she now? 11, 12?
12.
She is 12.
So she's
yeah.
12. So for being so young and still, she has a lot of childish attributes, she's still pretty mature for her age. So I thought the wise beyond her years kind of was appropriate here too.
Yeah, I really agree with that because, the owl is always stereotypical of being bookish and clever and stuff, but that is basically what Isabel is. So I think that fits her perfectly.
Okay, so I'm really dying to know if you have picked something for Esteban.
Okay, so for Esteban, and I swear I'm not trying to poke fun, it just sort of happened naturally, but for Esteban, I picked the peacock.
Oh my gosh.
For several reasons.
Why?
One is that peacocks are known for their beauty. Come on, Esteban
Well, he is gorgeous.
He's gorgeous. I swear he must moisturize 7 times a day to look like that.
Oh, didn't they say he's something close to where Lou went for RNA?
I think so. I think he's going on 60 at least.
Oh my god. Yeah,
my
he's
gosh.
supposed to be 57 or 58 at the start of the series, so I
He's
am betting
looking so
60.
good.
Moisturize.
It's important.
I still think he looks 30.
I think so
He
too.
does.
And peacocks are also known for their confidence. Sometimes can be a little too much, bordering on arrogance, but I think we can all agree that fits him depending
Sounds
on
like
the
him.
day. And going a little bit deeper into his character, the peacock is often associated with the phoenix. And so they're kind of a symbol of change and rebirth, which I thought was super fitting considering where his character arc seems to be taking him throughout the series, with his change from the beginning through now as he develops in his love and trust for his family.
Oh, that's a really great idea, actually.
So we have Esteban, our peacock.
Our favorite peacock, though.
Yes,
Yay.
exactly. So this was just a quick look at spirit guide symbolism. There's lots of really cool details that you can pick up with a quick Google search if you're interested. But now I'm going to turn the mic over to Amelia, who will dive a little deeper into another really cool bit of lore surrounding our favorite moth fairy. Amelia?
All right, so we're going to kind of go back and revisit some parts of the Scepter of Light episode because this week's Legend and Lore segment is focused on Orizaba, which I didn't know until just recently is actually based off of the Obsidian Butterfly in the Aztec religion called Ītzpāpālōtl. And sorry if I butcher the pronunciation, but I looked up the phonetics of the word and this is the best I can pronounce it. So
That's actually incredible, the way you
True.
said
Yeah.
it so smoothly.
I've been practicing, so I'll be honest. So what I've read, it turns out that Ītzpāpālōtl is basically a goddess with like butterfly, bat, and bird-like features. Yet she's closely associated with the Rashgildia orizaba, which is a type of moth, and that is also why she's been dubbed the name of Moth Fairy in several cultures, including the Elena of Avalor universe, and that is why the character is named Orizaba.
I bet people probably starting calling her the Moth Fairy because no one wanted to pronounce Ītzpāpālōtl all the time.
Seriously.
Like, honestly, I would not be surprised. But the name is actually, fun fact, the name is part of the Nahuatl language, which is an almost extinct language, but there are still some people in southern Mexico, kind of in the Central American region, that speak it, I think. But I found out the name isn't the only thing that the Elena of Avalor universe changed slightly. And from my research, it's probably a good thing because the original Moth Fairy has a slightly different story from the Orizaba we know. Ītzpāpālōtl is associated with the stars Cosquahitli and Trisina on the Aztec calendar, making her a goddess of the sky. But it turns out that she's also a star demon that threatens to devour people and eat their hearts during the solar eclipses.
Oh my gosh, that got dark.
Yeah, so thankfully Orizaba only wants eternal night and doesn't try to eat everyone in Avalor, or else I think we'd all be pretty scarred, especially the Elena of Avalor characters.
I have to agree with that. I mean, if you think about it, Eternal Night really doesn't sound that bad compared to all of that.
Eating hearts. Yeah.
I feel like Orizaba should get one of those not as big of a could have been ribbons or something.
Seriously though, but there are also like quite a few other differences from Orizaba and the original Ītzpāpālōtl, mainly in their appearance. So as we know, Orizaba looks like what we probably all consider a moth fairy with like the wings and the purple skin and the fancy jewelry. But Ītzpāpālōtl is actually described as kind of a shapeshifter who could either appear in the form of a beautiful, seductive woman or a terrible goddess with like a skeletal head and butterfly wings that are like made with stone blades. So a little bit different, but again, it's probably best that it was changed because I don't know, but if I was a kid, I'd probably have nightmares.
Maybe just
Well, she does have the seductive part down. Did you see those hips?
Yeah. So also this is kind of my own take on this, but I didn't really find anything about the Eye of Midnight in any of the Aztec legends or myths, but the jewel kind of reminded me of the dark, shiny color and appearance of obsidian, which ties back into what Ītzpāpālōtl is originally called, the Obsidian Butterfly. So I just thought that maybe that was an interesting fact and maybe had a little influence on the creation of the Eye of Midnight. So yeah, there's your history lesson on Orizaba.
I have to reiterate that I'm definitely glad that Orizaba was only trying to give Avalor what she thought was a gift instead of, like trying to eat someone's heart. So thanks, Amelia, for that fascinating look at the legend behind Orizaba. All right, now let's turn the mic over to the incredible Lady C for a few moments where we will speculate about the upcoming Navidad special. Now, I don't know about you girls, but I have been on the edge of my seat in anticipation of this episode since last December when Disney Music decided to gift us with the songs a year early. Chrissy, what can you tell us about this exciting new episode?
Woohoo! Thank you, Becky. Okay, so on November the 24th, we have the highly anticipated holiday Navidad episode, It's No Place Like Home.
Woo!
Ooh.
Yay!
I'm also so excited about this one. And what we know so far from various online sources are a snowstorm threatens to ruin Elena's plans of spending a quiet and peaceful Navidad at home. Mario Lopez and Diana Guerrero return as Jacqueline's Cruz and Vestia, respectively. The two holiday songs that have been released on YouTube for this new episode are Hearts Full of Cheer and Home for Navidad. If you haven't heard them yet, we will post a link. They are truly beautiful. Speaking of those new songs, in Hearts Full of Cheer, when Elena sings,
For those who cannot be with us, those who are traveling afar.
who do you think is not going to be home for Navidad? I think it's going to be Gabe, because he will be leading the Royal Guards, of course, chasing Victor and Carla. Girls?
I'm not sure who I'm rooting for to be away at this point. Because the Jacqueline seem to be missing, Gabe seems to be missing. I don't know.
I think by the end of the first song, it's going to be pretty much everyone. I think they're all going to go in different directions to hand out those little gift baskets we saw.
Oh, that's awesome, actually. Oh, yeah,
Aw.
because it says, I need you all right here. And oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. All right, I'm rooting for that.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be more than one person.
What about you,
Yeah, me
Amelia?
too.
Who do you think's not going to be here for Navidad?
My initial thought was Esteban because that's what Georgia kind of like persuaded me to believe, I guess. But I'm still hoping it's like someone from her family because I don't know, I just feel weird about being one of the four amigos. I feel like it has to be equal or something.
I actually think that most of the friends are going to be out at one point, but to be honest, I have no clue who's going to be the last person to come home, I'm actually thinking it's going to end up being more something like Elena's family members, like either Isabel or Esteban, just because I think it would be more meaningful, especially with this, her earlier song about being with family, for Navidad.
Oh, there are some really good thoughts, podcast princesses. I know that the amazing Craig Gerber has tweeted in the past about learning more about Esteban's parents, with hopefully some more insight into Esteban's life before Sariki. Oh, and of course his pre-mustache days. I also know Mr. Gerber. He's also tweeted about our favourite royal wizard and learning more about his mother Rafa and grandfather Alcazar. Will this be tied into this Navidad special or potentially next year? Regardless, we are super duper excited to learn more about Mr. Mateo's family. Alrighty, girls, speculations. I personally think my speculation for the plot this episode is that Victor and Carla conjure a snowstorm which spirals out of control, and of course Gabe leading the Royal Guards has to go and chase them. Dun dun dun. Alright, Amelia, what do you think?
Oh, that's really hard because I do agree with you. I think it's the Delgados that caused the snowstorm. And I'm pretty sure because I know Gabe said in the last episode that he wanted to go after them and catch them. But I don't really know what like everyone else in this episode is going to be doing besides like getting ready for Navidad and the Paranda and stuff like that. So I'm guessing they're probably just trying to figure out a way to reverse the snowstorm the whole time. And I don't know how they'll do that. Probably magic, I'm guessing. But I don't know. I'm like really excited to see though.
I'm actually kind of curious why they're going to be at their usual antics, especially now that they kind of got what they wanted. And I'm pretty sure there's more kingdoms in Avalor. But either way, I'm excited because that just means more awesome episodes with them in it. But I mean, just like what Christy said, I think it's going to be, that snowstorm and, between all the amigos and family members that are going out to spread the holiday cheer, it's just really going to put a damper on all their holiday plans, I think.
Interesting. Georgia, what about you?
My speculation for this episode is that it's gonna make me cry.
Yes.
I'm gonna get all emotional over it. I'm pretty sure about that.
The creators are very good at doing that. All right, Becky, what do you think?
Well, I definitely agree with you, Chrissy. I think that it is going to be magic because we know that snow is not normal in Avalor. So I was thinking that Victor and Carla caused magical shenanigans and all the family and friends have scattered scattered to like hand out those gift baskets we saw in the promo. So it looked like Luna was carrying like a fruit basket or something like that. And so I think everyone goes off to like, you know, spread good cheer in the nearby villages and cities and stuff, and they get stuck in this storm. And it's up to Elena and the amigos to go and get them back.
Ooh,
Oh,
Becky,
love that.
was really good.
I know, your guys' are so good.
Dun, dun, dun. Alrighty, guys. Speaking of that holiday cheer and that beautiful music, how about we jump into our Name That Avalor tune? Alrighty, I just love this segment so much last episode. Did you guys at home manage to get through all 4 songs? Alright, the answers were Dun, 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 If She Could, which was from Home for Good, Believe, which was Magic Within You, The Voice Inside, which was from Spirit Monkey Business, and of course, It's the Right Thing to Do, which was Esteban and Elena's rap. Remember this time, send through your answers on Twitter for a chance to be mentioned on our podcast. Okay, listeners, turn up that volume and try to guess these 3 songs. This podcast named Avalon tune are
Having fun in the sun with the wisest wizard of Avalor.
Alrighty, and one more time.
Having fun in the sun with the wisest wizard of Avalor.
Okay, guys, are you a true fan? Do you know what those 3 Avalor tunes were? Let us know right now on Twitter. All right, we have just one quick announcement section we wanted to do tonight. One quick thing we wanted to announce is that our amazing quiz, which Elena of Avalor character are you, that our lovely Amelia made, has had, drum roll please.
It has 32,146 views so far,
Oh my gosh.
my
Wow.
which is crazy. So yeah,
Isn't it just?
Go, Amelia!
Yeah,
Amelia!
you did so
Miss
good.
Vegas over here.
Amelia forever.
You went viral.
Not to say it.
Amelia forever.
I know it's so crazy, but like, I don't know, I'm happy. I'm glad people want to see what character they are.
32,000 people apparently. Yay!
Oh my gosh, Chrissy and Amelia, that is such exciting news about the quiz. I cannot believe it actually went viral. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Podcast Princess, all of you, thank you so much for joining me with your incredible insight and commentary today. And thank you to all of our listeners all over the world. You guys are seriously the best, and we can't wait for you to join us next time. Be sure to catch us over on Tumblr this week to sign up for the 2nd annual Elena of Avalor Secret Santa gift exchange. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram between episodes for more discussions, fun games, and resources you will not want to miss. Until next time, wings up, amigos. Bye!
Bye!